they basically asked me like, oh, you take lifts, where do you live? And they were like, how much does that cost to take a lift? I said, it costs anywhere to get to where I live all the way to Boca Raton. It costs like anywhere from $14 to like $30. And they were like, $30? I was like, yeah, like one morning cost me like $35 to get here. And that super sucked. So this really sweetheart girl, Isabel, I really liked her. We still hang out. I really liked her, and she asked me, she's like, you want me to give you a ride home? And I was like, you don't have to do it. She's like, Taylor, let me give you a ride home. And I was like, okay. So on the ride home, she's like, can I tell you something? Can you keep a secret? I was like, yeah, whatever. She's like, I'm gonna quit. I fucking hate Dr. Dominguez. She's so fucking mean. I was like, I knew I wasn't the only fucking person. I heard her yell at somebody for some shit that she did wrong. And I was like, okay. I made a YouTube video on her way before, and I didn't post it because I was still working there, but like I already had made a YouTube video about, like, literally it's like my third day and I made a YouTube video. The YouTube video, actually I made 2 YouTube videos about it before this. So the first YouTube video is like an hour long. Then I made a whole separate YouTube video that was another hour long, and they're both about her. She's so fucking rude. She's so fucking rude. So I can't even explain it. So I'll give you a little story time about Dr. Dominguez. One time, I'll just say Jay because I'm not gonna expose him, but he was a male dental assistant. Let's say Jay because that's what his name started with, and he put a patient in the room, and then he got called to go do another patient, so he went to go do something else with another patient. And then Dr. Dominguez walks in the room, just walked in there with the patient. He had sat and left. He's like, hey, I'll be right back. I have to go check on this patient. Like, the patient literally across the door was like, hey, come here, I need you. So he like shoots over there to go help them. Doctor goes in the room, just walks the fuck in there because she saw a patient. You know, she tells the patient what they're here for. The patient says, thank you, da-da. So she comes out the room, and in front of me and another employee is like, I shouldn't have to explain to the patient why they're here. That's your job. How do I do my job and your job? I shouldn't be having to go in there and explain why they're here, why they're this, why they're that. I'm the doctor. I'm the practice owner. I shouldn't have to do. That's your job. That's why I pay you to do. You do things like that. That's not my job. What were you doing that you couldn't do your job? I can't do your job and my job. If the bitch had said that to me, I probably would have smacked the fuck out of her. Like, oh my God. I love working for doctors, but some of them try me, and I can't explain this enough. Especially, I'm going to get my doctorate in 2 years. I will be a doctor in 2 years. You don't talk to people like that. You don't talk to people like that in private. You damn sure don't do it in front of the new girl who just started a few days ago. And you don't do it in front of another employee. You're not supposed to reprimand people like that in front of people. And she's just a fucking cunt. She's just a fucking cunt. The patients think she's nice. She's the meanest bitch. From the office telling me, you know, that's just who she is. She's rude. You gotta deal with it. From the other employees, they're telling me that when she talks to them crazy, they just go cry in the bathroom and get it off their shoulders. They just, you know, that's who she is. She just wants us to be good. I have been a manager 4 times. I have had my employees, I'm a manager right now at my new job. I've had people do some dumb ass fucking shit that caused me to have to redo an entire section, that caused me to have to come in on my off day, that caused me to have to stay fucking, what was it? 3.5 extra hours would put me at, what was it? I had already stayed, so what was it, 13 fucking hours I worked that day? You don't fucking talk to people like that. And this is the thing, you never, and I cannot stress this enough, you will never get somebody's respect from them fearing you. If somebody fears you and you think they respect you because they're afraid of you, the first real good chance they think they can cut your head off, they're killing you. They're taking your ass out. The first real opportunity you get, they get to fuck you up the way you've been fucking them up. And then it's just like, if you constantly belittle somebody, you're gonna get cussed the fuck out. But everybody, they're like, First off, one woman there, she's like 33 fucking years old or something, and that's the best job she's ever had. Like, she had like worked at fast food places like Wendy's, Taco Bell, or some shit. She had 2 kids. You know, she said this is the best job I've ever had in my life. So she just fucking stuck there because I guess that's the best she can do. I don't fucking know. The other 2 people, the other dental assistants I worked there with, this is gonna turn into more of why I haven't quit Aspen than anything. The other person that I worked there with, the other 2 people, they fucking fresh out of fucking school, so they don't know any fucking better. But 2 of them, they were both out of fucking dental school, and this is the first dental job they had. So they don't know any fucking better. And this is the only doctor they really worked with, so they don't know that they're not supposed to get fucking talked to like this. I've worked with over 9 doctors. I've worked with doctors in private practice, and I'm talking about when I finally reached this woman. I've worked, I did a couple days shadowing at a hospital. I've worked with all different types of dentists. That bitch was not about to talk to me crazy as fuck when she talked. So, and then this is the other thing. She told the office manager, like, literally, this was in a 3-day span. Let's just say it was on a Monday. And mind you, I only worked there for 2.5 weeks. So in the 3-day span, she told the office manager, when I try to correct Taylor, she doesn't say anything. She does not talk. And so I was like, oh, so the office manager comes to me. She's like, she's upset because when she's like talking to you and correct, first of all, she's yelling at me. She's pointing her finger in my face. She's spitting when she talks. She's supposed to have a fucking mask on. She never had a fucking mask on. You know, she's waving her finger in my face, doing all like this with her, like, bitch, I'm not gonna, anyway. So, first, like, this was like, one day, like literally one day, the office manager comes to me. She's like, she's upset because when she's correcting you and talking to you, you don't respond to her as what she would want. I said, she wants me to apologize, and normally when she corrects me, it's some shit I haven't done. So I was like, I'm not gonna say anything. I said, and I told the office manager, if I do say something, I'm gonna lose my job. So I'm not gonna say anything. And then 2 days later, the office manager comes back up to me, and she was like, Dr. Dominguez doesn't like the way you talk back. I'm like, what is it? Do I not talk or do I talk back? Like, what is it? No, Dr. Dominguez doesn't like that I will check her ass. I'm not dealing with that bullshit. She doesn't like that I'll check her ass. I will check her ass so motherfucking quick that it's not even funny. Like, I'm not dealing with that. So, I don't know how to take a CBT scan, and that's basically where if you want a dental implant, mind you, they had me taking x-rays, and I'm not legally supposed to be taking x-rays in Florida. I did not have a legal license to take x-rays in Florida. But they told me I need to start taking x-rays. So they had me taking x-rays illegally, whatever. That's on them. I needed a job. It was really on Dr. Dominguez's ass because she knew I didn't have a license. The head dental assistant knew I didn't have my x-ray license in Florida. And the office manager knew. And all of them told me, you need to start. Every single one of them told me, your ass needs to start taking x-rays. I'd only worked there for 2.5 weeks. And they were pressed about me taking x-rays. Anyway, so the CBT scan is basically what goes around, and it shows like the bone levels for an implant. I had never taken that before because in Ohio, right before I left, my office had just started doing implants. I think it was like a week or two before I had left. That's when they started doing the dental implants and stuff. So I had no idea. So she was like, so one day I didn't even take the dental. So one day I was on new patients, and I took the patient back, and she comes up to me. And I asked the patient, I said, what are you here for? And they said, oh, I'm just here for a checkup. I was like, cool, just here for a checkup. So she had us write everything on Post-it notes, which was wasting paper like a motherfucker, because every time she had to go in the room or wanted to know something, you wrote it on a Post-it note. I tried to explain to them, like, we're wasting so much paper, and then she loses the Post-it notes, so she doesn't know where to go, and then she's pissed off. Like, why don't we just get a whiteboard or something? Like, this is fucking stupid. But anyway, so, she uses Post-it notes, and, so I give her the Post-it note. I'm like, the patient's just here for a checkup. So she goes in the room, and the patient was like, yeah, I'm interested in implants. I was like, you never said that. So we leave the room, and I go back into sterilization, and Dr. Dominguez comes up to me in front of like 2 other people, and she was like, you know, this is stuff you would know if you were in the morning meetings or here for the lunch, because they had her and I got into it. They had this video, like, I can't even explain all the things that happened in 2.5 weeks. There was an optional lunch and learn. Mind you, I worked there for 2.5 weeks. I was there for, I think, 2 or 3 Mondays. 2 or 3. And there was an optional lunch and learn. And you could come for lunch and sit in the room and ask Dr. Dominguez all these questions. And I did not go to, must have been 2 or 3, because it's only on Mondays, and I didn't go to one of them. And by the next one, she canceled it, and then I quit. So literally, there was one lunch and learn I could have went to, and I didn't go to it. I went and sat at the park and ate my food quietly. I didn't want to sit in a room with her and these people. And so when I didn't take the CBT scan for the new patient who I didn't even know wanted implants, she comes up to me and she was like, that's the type of stuff you would have known if you would be on time in the morning and come for the lunch and learns. You would know that when the patient wants implants, you're supposed to take a CBT scan. I just looked her up and down, and then like she walked away, and the girl sitting next to me, she's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "That's the shit I'm talking about. Like, I'm not gonna last with this bitch. Like, that's the shit I'm talking about. Like, I'm not gonna work with Dr. Dominguez, Dr. Dumbass. Like, I'm not gonna work with this bitch. Like, that's the shit." So what ended up happening was, and I can put video of what happened one time. I was late like 3 times. Wow, I was late. Anyway, like I said, everybody knows I take fucking Lyfts to work. So, I would send them text messages like, "Hey, my Lyft is late," or "My Lyft canceled," and they were like, da da da. I was never late for work. Like, I was always there by 9, but getting there at 8:45, I would wake up at 5 in the morning, and I would order my Lyft around 7. I didn't have to be at work until 8:45, but I ordered the Lyft at 7, and for some reason I was still late to work because I only lived 20 minutes away, but sometimes the Lyft driver couldn't get through the gate, or they canceled the ride, or like something would happen. But I always ordered it like an hour, like an hour and a half before I had to go to work, and it just sometimes it was just like fucked. And like I said, I only worked there for 2.5 weeks, and Dr. Dominguez would be like, "You need to be on time for morning meeting." And I was like, okay, first off, in morning huddle, you read the schedule off, the schedule that we already saw, because we set up for everything the night before. So we would set up for all the procedures the night before, so you have to look at the schedule, and then you look at the schedule again in the morning to make sure you don't have to redo anything, and then they read the schedule off in the morning huddle, and then she just talks about like her cousin or some shit, like, or whatever. And then they said, "Why don't you sit with us at lunch? Like, why don't you come sit with us during lunch?" And I sat there for lunch one day, and Dr. Dominguez just talks about herself the entire fucking time. She talks about how smart her kids are, and how her and her husband have access to so much like expensive equipment, and they get it for the low because they own so many practices, and her cousin this, and how she's Spanish and speaks Spanish, and how she's Cuban, and how she works out every day, and how her sister lives in Miami and she'll never get married. And then she showed us a picture of her ugly ass sister and was like, "Can you believe she's not married yet?" And it's like, I'm surprised you're married, but like, whatever. And so literally they told me to come to lunch. They told me to come to lunch this is not even on the lunch alone. They just told me to come to lunch, and I came to lunch and sat at the table twice in my 2.5 weeks. And basically the conversation is just Dr. Dominguez. Like, it's just all about Dr. Dominguez. It has nothing to fucking do with actual dentistry. She'll just be like, "Yeah, me and my husband, we just have all this access to the best equipment because we get it for the low, because we've been in business for so long. Like, we get it, you're old as fuck. You're old, mean, and ugly as fuck. Like, we get it." And she was just like, "I've been doing this for 15 years, and I've been with the company, and I just get access to the best stuff, and we pay it dirt cheap. Like, you wouldn't believe the low prices. Like, if we spit, we could get it's so cheap." Like, all she basically did was brag about how she has been in the business for 15 years. Her and her husband get everything extremely cheap. She's extremely fit. Her hair is really pretty because she wears it up in a bun every day. So she's like, "My hair is really pretty, but I can't wear it down." She talks about how on the weekend she gets drunk with her kids and takes them on vacations. And she talks about how she's really, really smart. And there were 2 other dentists there. And she's like, yeah, I'm training them so they can be as smart as me. She's basically like a narcissistic bitch. And it's crazy. Like, everybody at the lunch table, like, hypes her head, but literally everybody in that office talks shit about her. Like, I walked past, and one of the office girls was telling another office girl that they hope she drops dead. Like, literally said, because some people couldn't say Dr. Dominguez or just didn't feel like saying it. I couldn't say it at first. And as I was going to get one of my patients, I heard one of the office girls say, and I don't know if she was talking to this, there was a male one, and then there was so there was a white girl, and there was a black girl with long hair, and then there was this dude. I don't know who the white girl was talking to. Oh, yeah, I don't know who she was talking to. But she was like, I literally hope she drops dead. Like, I hope Dr. D drops dead. I was like, you know what, same. Hope this bitch gets it back. Anyway, I went on so many tangents with this woman. Like, she was just like, she's fucking crazy. So, like, she's just fucking crazy. She's like you have like a really nice dentist. Like, I worked for this dentist, Dr. Webble. He was literally like a fucking sweetheart baby doll. He was like the nicest dentist ever. He made me really, see, that's the thing. When you work for a nice, that's the thing about the respect thing I was saying. I didn't fear Dr. Dominguez. She annoyed me and I didn't want to be around her, and I did everything in my power to avoid being around her. But I did not fear her. And I did not respect her. But because Dr. Webble was so nice and caring and understanding that, not everybody learns at the same pace and everybody's better at different things, he really understood that people have different strong suits in the office. And I respected him to the highest degree that it made me want to be a better dental assistant. I would go home and reread my dental books. I would go home and watch YouTube videos. He was so sweet that when I left, I bought him stuff for his cats, and I bought him his favorite gum, and I gave him like an Amazon gift card, and I wrote him a card, and he was just a sweetheart. I literally stopped going into Aspen when I quit Dr. Dominguez's office. I was going to switch to a different office, but she loves bragging about how she basically owns half of Florida with her 6 dental offices. Bitch, 6? You don't own half of Florida. But whatever. So yeah, this video, like, literally, I'm gonna have to do a whole update Florida video on a different video. This is literally just gonna have to be why I quit Aspen video. Like, that's what this is gonna be. Why I quit Aspen Dental. I liked Aspen. I did. I liked Aspen. I liked the whole setup. I did. I did private practice. I have done hospital, and Aspen's nice. It's very money hungry. Obviously, it's a huge corporation. It's very money hungry. It's very more. It's very, money hungry. I enjoyed working for it though, but it's the office. Like, Dr. Dominguez was like the worst fucking bitch to work for. So anyway, I get in the car with this girl, Isabel, and she basically tells me, she was like, I fucking hate Dr. Dominguez. I've been working for her for months and months, and she's such a fucking bitch. I tried to quit one time, and then they told me, like, no, and then they said that Isabel was telling me Dr. Dominguez came in the room and was like, I just want to make you the best dental assistant. I can make you the best. I can make you the best. And all she did in front of my eyes was belittle the fuck out of Isabel. Like, and then Isabel told me she cried in the bathroom. The fucking lead dental assistant says she'd be crying over shit Dr. Dominguez says. This one office person that used to work there told me she'd be crying over shit Dr. Dominguez, because Dr. Dominguez was like crazy. She would say, like, she's just one of those, like, she's one of those women that, like, one of those people, I'll say people, that because she has that degree, she thinks she can degrade you. And like I said before, and I will say it countless times, I will be a doctor soon. I have been a manager. I have been a manager's manager. You don't talk to people that way. I have had employees do shit that I could not fix, and that was fucked up. Got me in trouble because I didn't even know they did this shit, but I'm supposed to know what all these fucking people do. And you don't yell at them. You explain to them how they fucked up. And I will say that, like, you fucked up. And I explain to them how they cannot do it again. I'll ask them, what were you thinking? And I want them to be honest. I'll be like, were you just trying to cut some work out of this? Like, you had 10 steps and you wanted to shorten it down to 5? Because I've done that. I have had, 10 steps to do, I had 10 steps to get the project done. And I cut that down shit to 5 steps because I cut some things out. and you just talk to them. They're people, they have lives outside of this job. They come in, they're tired, they just got broken up with, they just found out they're pregnant, they just lost their other job, they're engaged, they're getting married, they have a headache, they were throwing up last night. People have lives outside of work. I think it's because we have to spend a ridiculous 40 hours a week at our job, that people forget that people have lives. So it's like, somebody fucks up at work, I'm not gonna degrade. You damn sure don't degrade people in front of other people. Oh my god, it's she's fucking crazy. She's fucking crazy, like literally fucking crazy. Yeah, I don't like her at all. I don't like Dr. And the crazy shit is, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one who did not like her. Like I said, I would walk, or I would, somebody asked me, like, how I'm doing. I'm like, I'm not doing good. Like, I wasn't gonna lie. I was like, I'm not cut for this. I'm not cut for this. I didn't come from this. And then they were like, is it because she's a practice owner? No, I've worked with practice owners. I've worked with practice owners that own multiple practices. I worked with, this one group in Ohio. They're called the Catherons. They own like 5 fucking offices in Ohio, 3 fucking offices in Michigan, fucking 7, they own like 13 offices. They own, I don't even know, that's probably more than 13, but they own hella offices in Toledo. They own offices all around Ohio, all in Michigan. They own offices the nicest fucking people I ever fucking met. Nicest people I ever fucking met. I actually like lost them some money, because one of the lead dental assistants at the office told me, oh, this is how you can just do this instead of this. I didn't know that was wrong, and you're not supposed to do that in front of the manager. So you have the lead dentist, and then you have the practice owner who owns the practice. And like I said, they own they call themselves the powerhouse couple. They own like 12, 13 fucking offices, and they see my goofy ass losing them money. Like literally, I cost them some money. The woman, the wife of the team, the little powerhouse couple thing, whatever, she comes up to me, she's like, hey, can I talk to you? And I was like, hi. Yeah. She's like, what's your name? I'm like, Taylor. She's like, oh, cool. She was like, well, you're kind of like losing some money here with like, doing what you're doing. Yeah, she was like, you're kind of like losing us some money. Her name was Dr. Gleisner. She's like, I'm Dr. Gleisner. I'm the practice owner. My husband's name is Dr. Catherine, like, da da da. And I was like, okay, cool. That's like amazing. Like, I didn't even really understand that. But she was like explaining it to me or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then, she's like, so this is what you're supposed to do, da da da. And she was so nice to me. I was taking x-rays, and she comes to me, she's like, hey, hon, like, if you just tone it down a little bit, you can get the full root. And I was like, okay, cool. And then, like, she saw me helping out with the filling one time, and she was like, if you just, like, kind of cock your arms a little more, like, you can really, I was like, oh, great. And then she even corrected the dentist. Like, she was just so sweet. She wore those Starbucks for everybody. She saw, like, I had, like, a puffy face, and, like, I hadn't been crying or anything. I was probably, like, having, like, really bad allergies because my eyes were watering. She thought it was sad, and I was in the break room, and I was, like, trying to clean my face. Like, I really wasn't crying or anything. I think like because my eyes were watering and my nose was stuffy, like I was really just like having really bad allergies. And she was like, are you okay? Like, do you want to go home for a day? Do you want to take an early lunch? Like, do you want 15 minutes? Like, da da da. If Dr. Dominguez had thought I was crying, she probably would have told me to shut the fuck up. So when everybody at this office, and I think Dr. Dominguez got mad about this because it was Dr. Dominguez, this one office person, and then like a DA, and they were like, oh, you just nervous about working with a practice owner? I was like, I've worked with several practice owners. I worked with a private practice owner. I worked with 2 Aspen dental practice owners, and I worked with one that bounces between hospitals. He's like a little corporation who just goes to hospitals and like practices and helps out. So I've worked with several practice owners. It's not the practice owner, it's how they treat you. And Dr. Dominguez was like, yeah, bitch, it's not that you are a practice owner. I can give a fuck less that you somehow bought 6 practices. I don't give a fuck about that. I give a fuck about how you talk to me. I'm not walking around here quiet as fuck. And they were like, oh, you were so energetic when you started. Yeah, until I found out she's a bitch. I'm not dealing with that. We're not doing that. I'm not doing it. Y'all are doing it. Y'all are crying in bathrooms. Y'all going home smoking bags and bags of weed. Y'all are drinking yourselves into comas after work. Like, they telling me, oh, after work, yeah, I cry. After work, I smoke a whole bunch of weed. After work, I drink a whole bunch. After work, I just sit at the wall. After work, I think about if I'm worthy enough of that. I'm not going home thinking if I'm worthy as a person and a dental assistant to fucking work with Dr. Dumbass. Like, I'm not, that's literally her name to me. I almost called her Dr. Dumbass on more than one occasion, because by the 3rd day, I knew she was a bitch. So when I would call my mom and talk shit about her, I'd be like, you're not gonna believe what Dr. Dumbass did today. And so, Oh, so yeah. So the reason I never sat there at lunch, like I already explained this, but basically it was just so she could stunt on us. Yeah, I like to, rent out hotels and take my kids. She would talk about how she took them to the south part of Florida, the west side of Florida, the northern part. She's like, yeah, we go rent out hotels and I drink and they play on the beach and because we own all these practices. She's like, when it's all said and done, I'm gonna own 10. She's like, I'm gonna own 10 practices. I'm gonna own this whole part of Florida. I basically love Aspen. I run Aspen. Me and my husband, all the dentists, they love us. They love us. And then she was always telling me, and this other dentist she was training, she was always saying like, yeah, I used to work in Maine, and my dental assistants in Maine, they always knew what I liked. So anytime somebody at this office didn't do what she wanted, she's like, my dental assistants in Maine didn't do this. My dental assistants in Maine were perfect. My dental assistants in Maine, they probably hated your fucking guts too. Because honestly, I haven't met one person here that likes you. Everybody, there was one lady who said she liked her, but she's like, yeah, I like her husband. I like her. They like your husband. They don't like you. But she was like, yeah, I like her husband. I like her husband. She's hard to deal with, but she's nice. She's hard to deal with. She's complicated. She's a bitch. Just say it. Just say it. I don't care. I don't care. Call this bitch whatever you want. Call Dr. Dumbass whatever you want. She's a fucking biatch. I dislike this woman so. Okay, so I have to be at work at 8:45. So I get to work at 8:45 and the front door and the back door are locked because the office manager of the office I work at didn't open the front door, and the back door you have to have a password for it. And since I'm new, I don't know the password. So everybody has morning huddle and I'm not a part of it because obviously I'm locked outside. I'm texting everybody like, hey, I'm outside, I can't get in. And then so obviously I miss morning huddle. So the dentist that I work for comes up to me like hours after all this happened, and she comes up to me and she was like, maybe you would know how to do this if you would come to morning huddle. I'm like, I missed one fucking huddle and I was fucking locked outside, and I texted everybody and I couldn't get in the building. So next time I'm locked outside, I guess I'll just throw a brick through the fucking window and just get in that way. So I'm like, okay. So we tell her that I was locked outside, and she was like, well, you still need to be on time. So I would like to know, I'm locked outside, I'm texting everybody, nobody's answering their phones, and you expected me to get in the building somehow. So next time I will literally just drive a fucking car through the building to get to morning huddle because I can't walk through walls. I don't think she should be practicing on anybody. And then she talks shit about the patients 24 fucking 7. And then when she thinks they're white or black, she talks shit about them in Spanish. And then she pulled me aside. She's like, just so you know, if you ever hear me talking in Spanish in a room with a patient, or if I'm leaving a room and talking in Spanish, or I'm talking in Spanish to Dr. Mendoza, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking shit about the patient, and I don't want them to hear me. It's like, I know you not talking shit about me in Spanish, because when you want to talk shit about us, you just say it right to our face. You say it right into our face like that. So it's like, I know you're not talking about me. Like, you talk shit about them. And yeah, so the other dental assistants, the management, they told me like, oh, well, ask the other dental assistants, because they knew I was about to quit. They knew I was about to quit. So the office manager, she was like, well, why don't you just ask the other dental assistants how they cope with it? These bitches, oh, we cry in the bathroom. We cry at home. We cry in our breaks. We, sit in the corner at lunch. We eat a lot. We smoke a lot of weed. We drink a lot. We think about if we should be doing this as a career. What? You've lost me. If you think I'm gonna cry in the bathroom over this bitch, I will hit her with the fucking bathroom door before I go in the bathroom to cry over this. You've lost me. You lost me. She's horrible. She talks shit about employees to other employees. She talks shit about patients to employees. She talks shit about everybody. She even talks shit about her husband one time. And it's like, she talks shit about So she's the only one good enough in there to make a temporary crown. That's another thing. She's the only one good enough to do denture adjustments, soft relines, temp crowns, most of the impressions. She's the only one good enough to do anything. Anything. So, like I said, she was training two other dentists, and she asked me, I mean, one of the dentists she was training, Dr. Goldberg, I absolutely love this woman. I would literally kill for this woman. She was so incredible. I'm so sad I never got to say bye to the whole. I was working for Dr. Goldberg for like a week. It was perfect. I loved it. But then she left. So like the week and a half I worked with Dr. That's when I quit. I was like, this shit, it's not popping for your boy. So I might have worked there for 3 weeks then. I know I didn't last a month. I didn't. Because I didn't have a job for a week. So I did not last a month. So whatever. I work with Dr. Goldberg and we're doing crown preps, and then you have to do a temp crown. You have to make a temporary crown. So I was making the temporary crowns. Everything was fine. Dr. Goldberg loved my temporary crowns, and I love Dr. Goldberg. I would do anything for that woman. And then Dr. D was like, why are you, she came up to me, she's like, why are you making the temporary crowns? I said, because Dr. G doesn't make them the way you make them. Because Dr. Dominguez had way too many fucking steps in the way she was making temporary crowns. I don't think the bitch knew that you can just cut the middle, man. But as much as she do know, she don't know shit. That's the crazy thing. I never met somebody who know everything but not shit at the same time. Y'all ever met somebody who knows like everything but nothing at the same time? Like a know-it-all that really don't know shit. That's that bitch, Dr. Dumbass, like I said. So anyway, she was basically like, oh, whatever, that's not how I do it, that's not how I would do it, but I guess if she wants to do it that way, because you don't know every fucking thing, bitch. We don't all have to do everything your way. Nobody wants to suck your dick. Like, oh my god, your husband probably got with your dumbass because you was an easy tag. Like, that's it. You probably got pregnant. Like, that's probably, he with you, that's probably it. But anyway, so we're doing the temp crowns. And then Dr. Goldberg has to go work at the other office because we're in Boca right now, and Dr. Goldberg has to go work in Delray. So she goes to work in the Delray office, and then Dr. D was talking shit about her the whole time. One of the things she said, she was like, by the way, I don't want you making temporary. She was talking to me. She was like, by the way, I don't want you making temporary crowns anymore because all the temporary crowns have been falling off. I was like, okay, well, first off, I've never, and this ain't no cocky shit. I was like, I've never had a temporary crown fall off. I was like, second off, I was like, I didn't make the last, because Dr. Goldberg and I had like 3 days of nothing but back-to-back crown preps. But Dr. Goldberg said she wanted to get better practicing and making temp crowns because she had never really made temp crowns. She always had the dental assistant do it. So she was like, I'm going to make temp crowns. I was like, okay. So she made the last 3 days she was there, she did all the temp crowns. So Dr. Dumbass, she was like, by the way, I don't want you making temporary crowns anymore. All your temporary crowns are falling off. They've been falling off. I was like, okay, bet. I said, one, I've never had a temporary crown fall off, so that's new news to me. Didn't know, when I submit a temporary crown, them motherfuckers stay, but I was like, whatever. And then in second, Dr. Goldberg did her last 3 days of her temporary crowns. I said, so if any temporary crowns fall off from last week, that was Dr. Goldberg. She's like, even that patient, I was like, you can call Dr. Goldberg and ask her. She did the temp crowns for those patients, so if they're falling off, that's on her. She's like, wow, I guess nobody knows how to make a temporary crown. So, okay. So, out of 2 other dentists, 4 dental assistants, you're the only one who can do anything in the office. And then there was a new lab tech training. She going there. I was following her around. I had to follow Dr. Dumbass around all day. One day, she didn't even need anything in the lab. She went in the lab to fuck with the new trainee lab tech. She was like, do you know what you're doing? Do you know how to do that? And then he had like some stuff on the floor, and she looked at it and looked at the dentist, because it was me and the dentist following Dr. Dumbass around. She was and the other lab tech that was there, he was gone that day. His name was Ivan. He was not there that day. So in the room was the training lab tech, me, Dr. Dumbass, and Dr. Mendoza. And Dr. Mendoza and I were watching Dr. Dumbass. Sorry, Romeo's being such a pest. And we were watching Dr. Dumbass, and she goes in there and she was like, do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do that? Do you know how to do this? Are you sure you can do that? Are you sure you know what you're doing? Are you sure you know what you're doing? Did Ivan show you that? You sure? And he was like, yeah, I got it. Like the little lab tech guy was like, yeah, I got it. And she was like, well, if you think you got it. And then he walked out the room to go to the bathroom or something. I don't know what he did. He left the room, like the training lab tech left the room. And she looks down at like his station. He had like it's a fucking lab. He had a little bit of mess. She was like, she was like, it's never this messy when Ivan's here. She's like, Ivan hates him. He's having such a hard time with him, and he's having such a hard time with him, and Ivan can't handle the mess. I've never heard Ivan say anything bad about you, except anybody but your ass. So I don't know what you're talking about. And she was like, I feel like she did this thing like with her eyes when she was like surprised. I guess I don't know. Looked like she was about to have a heart attack. Or I don't know, looked like she was stroking, I don't know. But she would be like, she's like, oh, poor Ivan, I know, like, he can't handle this mess. I was like, it's 2 crumbs of clay. It's a dental lab. You guys push out so many dentals. We live in, this office is in Boca Raton, like, there's nothing but old people. Like, you guys push out hella dentals. It was the nicest, cleanest office, like, laboratory I've ever seen in my life. And it had, like, a little bit of, like, he had a little bit of the pink stuff for the gum line, like on the table. And she was like, poor Ivan. She's like, I couldn't imagine working back here. She's like, this is so dirty. She's like, oh my god, like she's just a dramatic bitch. Like she's just a dramatic bitch. Like I've worked with complicated dentists before. I've worked with complicated dentists. I've worked with semi-complicated dentists. I've never met a dentist that I couldn't find one thing I liked about them. I can't think of one quality about this woman I liked. Normally for dentists, like I worked for this one doctor, his name was Dr. Ahmed. He was a fucking horrible, shitty ass dentist. Even his wife would talk shit about how bad of a dentist he was, but he was so fucking nice as a person. Like, as a person, he was so sweet. Asked about your day. He would ask about my dog. He would check up on us. He'd be like, oh, just call off. Like, you need a day off. Like, he was such a fucking sweetheart. But as a dentist, he was rude as fuck. He was mean. He didn't know how to do his job. He constantly was asking his wife for advice because he didn't know how to do dentistry. He would always be super sweaty. He was always late. He always thought he was gonna pass out. He was just a really, really bad dentist. And his wife was that bitch. Like, his wife was she was a bitch, but she was one of the best dentists. Like, the best. So, I think it was just embarrassing to him to be so shitty. He took the wrong tooth out one time. He did a filling on the wrong tooth. He had me permanently cement a temporary crown. He was just a dumbass, but he was nice. Dr. Voma, she's another bitch dentist. I'm gonna do a video on. She was fucking stupid. She was horrible. She actually had 8 or 9 of us in the office that refused to work with her. So she had to have another dentist be her dental assistant because all of us refused to work with her dumbass. And she was a nice person, bad as a dentist. And she made a lot of goofy mistakes too. Dr. Dominguez is a bitch as a person and as a dentist. There was no good qualities about this woman. She's just fucking horrible. And I thought I was tripping until I got in the car with my friend Isabel, and she was like, she's so mean. She's always telling me, and I would hear her say crazy shit to everybody, from the people in the lab to the people that came in to help us, to dental assistants, to other dentists. Nobody was as good as her. Nobody is as smart, as pretty, as fucking amazing. Nobody speaks Spanish. Nobody is as bilingual as her. Even though she grew up half Spanish, half English, so of course you know both, bitch. It's not like you learned French. Like, she's like, I'm bilingual. I can speak Spanish. Okay, bitch, isn't one of your parents is Spanish, isn't it? Yeah, I think her mom grew up in Michigan. And her dad grew up in Miami. So yeah, you're a biracial child. Of course you speak both, bitch. Cardi B speaks both. You don't hear her? I'm bilingual. Of course you speak Spanish, bitch. Like, one of your parents speaks Spanish. Probably both of them speak Spanish. Of course. Then she's always talking about how much she goes to the gym and how skinny she is and how much she sticks to her diet and how pretty she is. Like, she's literally just the prettiest, smartest, best dentist, amazing family. She's got such a miserable life. Like my sister's like this. My sister's like this. She's one of those people that have such a miserable, pathetic life that she wants to give the illusion of how perfect and happy her life is. I think I figured it out. I think I figured it out. She's one of those people in her life. Her life is so fucking sad and pathetic, and she's so unhappy that she's gonna talk about how happy and pretty and smart and beautiful and how everything is going right. She's gonna talk about how everything is going so great, but it's actually not. It's actually not. It's actually not. She's actually like fucking depressed as fuck. I've met people like that. I have family members like that. I have friends like that. They're actually so fucking. And then you get on the phone with them and they're like, I didn't expect my life to go this way. I thought this would be happening by now and this would be. I'm so fucking sad. Like I'm on antidepressants. I want to kill myself. Like I've been cutting like that. And like I've been sad before. Like really sad. I can see it. She's not happy, but she just keeps talking about how happy she is. She talks about how rich she is a lot. She always talks about how much money she has and how she can get shit for the low. Like I think her whole MO is just being pretty and smart, and she's not that smart because some shit she just doesn't know, and it's kind of like baffling that she wouldn't know, and then she's not that pretty. She's not that pretty. It looks like she's one of those people that sits in the sun for a long, long time every single day, and her skin is so, like I said, this is a white Cuban. So her skin should absorb the sun very nicely. And she looks like a piece of bacon. Like that somebody left on the stove. And then they glued horse hair to the end of the bacon. So imagine a piece of bacon that somebody fried and burnt, but looks rubbery like a tile. And then they took blonde horse dry hair and glued it to the bacon. And then put a dentist coat on it. And it's bilingual. And that's the best way I can describe her. She's fucking horrible. She's fucking horrible. There's not one person in the office that did not talk shit about her. She thinks everybody fears her, and really nobody likes her. There's actually one person there trying to get her fired, and I hope they succeed. But they can't get her fired because she's the practice owner. She owns like 6 in Aspen, so fucking money hungry. They would not let her go. But she's fucking crazy. So in a nutshell, that's why I quit Aspen. This has been a 46-minute video, and I was supposed to do an update on how my life is. This was supposed to be a update Florida video, and I'm not gonna let this video go past an hour. Like I said in other videos, I always know how long I'm gonna have a video go to. This video was supposed to be 20 minutes. I said don't go over 20 minutes. Talking about Dr. Dumbass, ooh, she gets me every time. But I won't let this go past an hour. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sorry this was an hour-long video. This was literally supposed to be 22 minutes. I told 20 minutes. I told myself, don't go past 20 minutes. Like, don't make this long-ass video. But here we are, tangents all the time. Anyway, I love you guys so much.